Codjoe is my name. I'm not a politician. I'm not a political activist. I'm not a businessman, and I'm not a pastor. Through unusual circumstances, I found myself undertaking a research program on European integration. In the course of my work, I discovered an unknown truth about this project, which I would like to share with the world. Politicians, political commentators, and political intellectuals around the world, especially in America, Britain, Europe, and Ireland, have described the European Union an extraordinary political project. They have described the European Union a unique phenomenon. They have described the European Union an extraordinary project. As a matter of fact, the Times magazine described the European Union the quiet miracle that evolved from the wreckage of the Second World War. Jean Monnet, the French statesman, the principal architect of the European construction, has been described as a genius, a man of vision, a prophet, and a revolutionary. Jean Monnet is known as the spiritual godfather of the European project. As a matter of fact, there are lecturers who describe themselves Jean Monnet professors. President Kennedy in 1963 awarded Monnet the Freedom Medal. In 1975, Dr. Henry Kissinger awarded Monnet with the Granville Clark Prize. Jean Monnet is held in high esteem because of the contribution he has made to the European project. The Lisbon Treaty, which is going to be ratified if the Irish people adopt it, will bring Jean Monnet's vision of federal Europe into reality. At the moment, only the Irish people are going to vote on this treaty. They rejected it in 2008, and they are going to vote again on the same document in 2009. This treaty, if it is ratified, will turn Europe into a federal state to fulfill Jean Monnet's vision of a federated Europe. Now the time has come for the world to know the unknown truth about the European Union. Jean Monnet was born in 1888. Robert Schuman, the French foreign minister, who launched the European project on 9th of May 1950, was born in 1886. Before these two Frenchmen were born, an Irishman, a native of Dublin, had already written about the European Union, how it will develop, the character of this project, and how it is going to end. In other words, the future prospect of the European program. This man recorded that the European Union, a political alliance of European nations, will be the next major political feature in history after the restoration of the Jews to Palestine. The Jews were restored to Palestine in 1948. In other words, the State of Israel was created in 1948. 2 years later, in May 1950, the European Union was born, exactly as the Irishman had predicted. This Irishman further stated that this confederation of European nations will develop through an European crisis. And indeed, the European Union developed after the Second World War. It was through the crisis of the Second World War that the European Union came into existence, exactly as the Irishman had predicted. If such be the case, then it is reasonable to suggest that whatever this Irishman recorded about the future prospects of Europe will also come to pass. He wrote about the Lisbon Treaty. He didn't say it's Lisbon, but he recorded that a treaty will be established which will combine all the European nation countries to form one nation under a one leader. Now, it is up to the Irish people to examine what their father, whom I describe as the Seer of Dublin, wrote about Europe and its future before they decide whether to adopt the Lisbon Treaty or to reject it. The Irish must first of all pause and examine what their father wrote about Lisbon Treaty, what their father wrote about the future prospects of Europe before they decide to adopt the treaty or reject it. I have shared all this information with you in my book, which will be published hopefully in September before the Irish referendum. I will exhort the world, the Irish people in particular, and the British people to examine the works of this brilliant Irishman. Indeed, this man became a prominent British public servant. The British people know him. So they must examine what this British public servant wrote about Europe and its future before they decide whether they will commit their future to European Union or not. After all, if the European Union future is uncertain, as politicians have already recorded, then what makes us certain that the future of Ireland and the future of Britain rests in the European Union? If we don't know the future of the European Union, how can we guarantee that the future of Ireland and Europe rests in the European Union, whose future the world doesn't know? So the world must pause, the Irish must pause, the English people must pause and examine what their father wrote about Europe and its future before they commit their future to the European Union. My book, Why the European Union? Is the European Union future bright or dark? Will be published in September. The publishers are in Ireland. They are called Original Writing Limited. You go to their website, you get them www.originalwriting.com. So please, thank you for your time, and I hope you will examine the record independently and then you draw your own conclusion. Thank you.